Ready to light that fire by doing the things that make you come alive? Welcome to Health Raisers, a podcast for wise women. I'm your host, Dr. Nadine. I left a soul-crushing medical career full of bad news and evolved into a joyful health integration coach, helping hundreds of women find their healthy. You're more than your dress size. Stop putting up with toxic relationships, swallowing your true emotions, and sacrificing your mental health. Stop using your body as a battlefield. You're always giving. You deserve to put yourself first, not just for your sake, but for those you love. Wise women, let's make ourselves a priority right now. It's time to raise some health together. Welcome, everyone, and we'd like to welcome Lilley. He is a plant alchemist, a serious foodie, and the maker of 3 Spirits drinks, where the motto is choose your mood. Wise women, I am so excited today because this is my first time recording, not hiding in a closet or behind whatever in a desk or in a closed room, but I'm actually interacting with people, which is something that I really dreamed of doing. And so I'm happy that we're having this happen. So, what inspired your journey into making these drinks, and how were they inspired by nature? Who's on your team? Tell us about the journey through 3 Spirits.
Okay, big opening question. Where do I begin? So it's been a long journey, I guess. Why don't I start at kind of nearer the end and we'll go backwards. So I have 2 amazing co-founders at 3 Spirit, one of which is my wife, Tati, and the other, Mita, who is based in New York. As you might tell, I'm from England, I'm from London. And so the reason I mentioned them is we wouldn't have done this unless the 3 of us did this together. And my background is definitely in, and you've already kind of alluded to it, food and drink. I used to have a coconut water business. I've always been passionate about amazing ingredients and foods. And I think through coconut water, it gave me a taste of this kind of new emerging world of better for you products or drinks or foods with benefits, things that you might consume because of a health benefit or rehydration or something that you kind of implement into your lifestyle that's going to help you achieve something. So I was really inspired and excited by, the power of plants. It's everywhere. It's all around us. We take it for granted, but at the same time, it's nothing new. It's ancient wisdom, and it's just fun exploring how to get creative and try and reformat old ingredients or fuse them together in new ways for a modern audience or a new consumer. My wife, Tati, she comes from the alcohol world. So she used to have a business called Bar Chick, which was a guide to the best cocktail bars in the world. So that gives you a little idea of, she came from cocktail culture, alcohol, socializing. I came a little more from health and well-being, and we kind of fused our interests and our experience together to create 3 Spirit. Mita, our other co-founder, came from very much like business school background, so very good at entrepreneurship and building. So the 3 of us kind of complement each other with our background and our skills. But to go a bit further back than that, so my father worked for my grandfather. My mother's father, Rudy, was in the wine business. He was German. His parents were also in the wine business before him. So I kind of like accidentally followed in some footsteps into the kind of interesting world of fermentation and drinks that have an effect. I often like to quote that alcohol is the ultimate functional drink. And here we are trying to create really interesting alternatives to alcohol, but championing the power of plants. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we came from. We launched in 2019 in the UK. So we founded the business in the UK originally and then set up shop in the US in 2021. And it's kind of a reaction to what was beginning to happen several years ago, which was this new space evolving into the world of non-alcoholic spirits, non-alcoholic beers, a kind of a sea change you could see in the consumer starting to be more open-minded about alternatives to alcohol. And things have changed massively in the last 5-6 years since we've been active.
Bringing you Health Raisers is possible because of these incredible sponsors. Feeling the need for a little pampering? Do you want an escape from the hustle and bustle of daily life? Mac Salon and Day Spa is your destination for relaxation and rejuvenation in Southwest Michigan. Get ready for a retreat in the woods. Mac offers comprehensive services tailored to your needs, including massage, facials, nails, waxing, and hair treatments, ensuring you feel refreshed and beautiful. Whether you're preparing for a special occasion or simply treating yourself, the experts at MAC are committed to helping you look and feel your best. Their commitment to wellness isn't just about beauty. It's about balance, confidence, and feeling amazing in your skin. Visit them today and discover why they're Southwest Michigan's premier choice for all your beauty needs. Looking for some time away from the chaos of everyday life? Step into the beauty of Fernwood Botanical Garden, where nature, peace, and renewal come together. Nestled along the scenic St. Joseph River Valley, in between Niles and Buchanan, Fernwood's 105 acres of lush gardens, quiet trails, and serene woodlands offer a sanctuary for replenishing your soul. Wander through vibrant landscapes, listen to the melodies of birds, and connect with nature at your own pace. Indoors, you'll find an inspiring art gallery, a lush fern conservatory, and a welcoming cafe, perfect for reflection and relaxation. At Fernwood, there's always something to discover, from engaging classes and special events to charming, verdant venues for your own gatherings. It's more than a destination, it's a feeling, a place to breathe, learn, and grow. Plan your visit today. Explore, discover, connect. In the mood for coffee, tea, yummy pastries, or cool swag? My friends at Infusco have got you covered. Infusco Coffee Roasters is a cozy neighborhood coffee joint in Sawyer and St. Joseph, Michigan. Infusco stands for a healthy community. They craft irresistible seasonal drinks, sourcing local artisans' products. The flavors shine from quality ingredients, and their beans are roasted on site. They do not hide behind tons of sugar. Every time I go, I'm greeted by my name with a smile. Bad service is just non-existent. It feels like stepping into a friend's living room. They keep it personal. Old school, eclectic coffee mugs on the wall, fun merch, including stickers designed by artists, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. It's the perfect place to get to know your neighbors and chat with tourists. You will always find people deep in conversation. Special events keep it fresh. Community. Health, the heart of Sawyer. That's Infusco. I hope to meet you there. So it seems like you've generally been intentional about having nature be very much a part of your life overall, not just because I'm thinking of this like, you mentioned being part of your family's wine business. So you were always kind of outdoors, right? And so that was part of your DNA. And then, but it seems like you took it a step farther to really make having nature become a part of your life in more intentional ways, in more ubiquitous ways, extending that into the drink world. How do you think what was the inspiration for you kind of being a pioneer in the non-alcoholic? Because you said you saw this trend beginning, but you were ahead of it. Why do you think that is?
I'm someone that for me to be excited by something, it needs to be genuinely exciting, right? And so when I saw, and let me say another thing, I do drink alcohol. I always have. Less and less these days. It affects me in a strong way, not very often in a positive way. But there is a time and place for a great alcoholic drink. It's not for everyone, but I really appreciate and celebrate the virtues of the right drink at the right time, the craftsmanship, the history, the romance around the rituals of alcohol and how we drink and socialize, how alcohol's been consumed and produced by humans for thousands of years. It's no accident, right? And I think when the non-alc trend started to happen, I think there was a lot of focus on just being non-alcoholic. That was enough. Hey, as long as there's no alcohol in this, it's worthy of your glass. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a lot of products originally that came to market where I was like, this is interesting, but I don't know if I have enough reason to actually want to consume this, because it might just try and look like or taste a little bit like a traditional alcoholic drink. And for me, I was like, well, that's not good enough. Alcohol can do the real job for me. So if I wanted to consume, I needed a bigger reason to believe. And that always comes from the story around ingredients, where they come from, their potential potency or their nuanced flavor. I go down the rabbit hole when learning about plants, how they've been historically used. Ethnobotany as a subject is just fascinating to me. And before starting Three Spirit, I did a few other projects that are maybe worth mentioning, one of which was called Champa Tea, which was this incredible project working with some incredible people in Argentina. It was charity-led, and it was all about wild harvested medicinal plants blended with yerba mate, which is obviously like the national tea or herb from Argentina and many parts of South America, caffeinated, drunk by billions of people every day. And we created a lovely brand called Champa Tea, which was about reforesting mountainous environments in Argentina to help the water cycle. And through that project, I learned a lot about local native medicinal plants, and I just fell in love. And I was taken under the wing of people that know way more than me about the local plant ecosystem. But I just found it very charming and nourishing to my soul. And it's something that's easy to then have a passion which I want to share with other people. And I think that was the kind of light bulb moment for me, where I was like, hang on a sec, there is something really exciting that could be done in this non-alcohol space, celebrating the power of plants rather than just celebrating being non-alcoholic.
Innovation, because you saw a problem and you combine that with your passion and natural love of learning. I love it. What is there a specific mission, Three Spirits mission, statement or idea?
I think our mission is to help people reduce alcohol without reducing the pleasure. So, choose your mood as a kind of tagline. We have different drinks that are designed for different occasions. Those occasions are traditionally owned by alcohol, So we're about bringing the pleasure. Alcohol-free doesn't need to be pleasure-free. So that's our mission. And we're a B Corp, so we try and measure our success on how much we take care of people, planet. And I think one very simple metric for us, although we're not a brand that's all about anti-alcohol, is how many alcoholic drinks can we help people avoid? Most of our customers do drink alcohol, but most of our customers, most people are looking to reduce their alcohol intake. It's not that many people that are looking to increase their alcohol consumption. And I think everything in moderation is the key when it comes to food, drink, whatever. So I think our mission is to bring that pleasure whilst offering people a genuine alternative to alcohol.
I think there's levels to this too. As a woman, I have had experiences in the past because I'm a lightweight. So, being in a social situation has been because of the introversion and that, when there's alcohol present, I felt a little bit of pressure, discomfort. I remember once I went to Vegas with my sisters and they were not lightweights. So we went to this bar and I didn't want anything. And the bartender really made me feel stupid. Like he was very shaming. So I think your mission is really important, even from a social health standpoint of being able to be among people and not feel like you have to be ashamed because you asked for tea or a Coke or something like that, and everyone is having the big boy and big girl drinks. So I think that's important as well. I want to talk a little bit more about what's in the formulations, namely adaptogens and nootropics. Can you explain what they are and how they contribute to our mental and emotional well-being?
Sure. So yeah, they're definitely buzzwords that you're seeing and hearing more and more in consumer goods. They're nothing new. First thing to say, adaptogens, nootropics, they are naturally occurring and they've been around forever. But to define an adaptogen, so adaptogens are a class of plants that have been shown to help regulate your stress levels. So going a bit deeper, adaptogens can interact with your cortisol production, which is your stress hormone in the body, which we all need. It's an important part of the day-to-day operation of our body and our nervous system. It's what's triggered in times of stress. It's what's useful for fight or flight response, right? It's kind of going way back to kind of caveman times. It's, are you going to stand up and fight that grizzly bear or are you going to run away? And our bodies still react in those ways, but we are exposed to way more stimuli today than ever before, whether that's social media, our screens, email, not being able to escape work. So I think it's fair to say that in the modern era, people are dealing with stress in a whole new way, which is why adaptogens have become a useful tool to help find the balance. And we'll go a bit deeper into them when I talk about the formulations and give you examples of some of the adaptogens that we use. But nootropics, on the other hand, are compounds found within plants or can be made synthetically sometimes that are more to do with cognitive function. So they might be more to do with mood or energy or alertness or reaction time. So think caffeine. Everyone knows what caffeine is. Most people on the planet are consuming caffeine in one format or another. It's a very potent, effective nootropic. It clearly affects your mood. It clearly affects your level of alertness. And so we do use caffeine, natural source caffeine in one of our expressions. So why don't we start? We've got 3 core expressions: Livener, Social, and Nightcap. They are designed for 3 core different occasions. The way I would summarize it, kind of beginning, middle, and end of your evening or of your drinking journey. So alcohol is great at nicely fitting into these kind of boxes or these occasions, which you either drink maybe as a pick-me-up, something to get you a little bit alert at the end of a long day. That's where Livener comes in. Or something that is more about socializing, a bit more of a social lubricant. That's where our social blend comes in. And then Nightcap, as the name suggests, all about relaxation, end of the evening, helps you unwind. So we use an amazing adaptogen in Livener called Schisandra berry. Schisandra is a gorgeous fruit. It's a berry comes from Mongolia, Siberia, Eastern Russia, China. So it comes from the Far East. And it's from the magnolia plant, and it's known as the 5-flavor berry because it kind of tastes of everything. I call it like a Willy Wonka berry. It's sweet, it's salty, it's sour, it's bitter, and it's umami. So it's kind of savory at the same time. It's amazing because it regulates your stress levels, so it gets you into balance, but it also can raise your metabolism if you're feeling lethargic. So there's great kind of old stories about Russian Olympians and Russian fighter pilots back in the day using them as a natural performance enhancing berry. So I really like that ingredient. We also use ginseng in Livener, which is a very effective adaptogen. And then in Social Elixir or our social blend, we're using things like cacao, which is one of my favorite ingredients, chocolate. And that has something in it called theobromine, which is closely related to caffeine. It's an alkaloid, but it affects the brain and the heart. It's kind of known as a heart opener. It relaxes the nervous system, but it gets your brain firing on all cylinders. So it's this amazing connection of, or it basically is a performance enhancer. And it's a great ingredient that I like to explore and work with in isolation as well as in the blend. And then jumping to, there's so much, we can always go deeper if you want. But in Nightcap, we work with amazing ingredients like lemon balm, which is such a common ingredient. It grows in most people's gardens. Most people know what it is. A member of the mint family. A very potent and effective relaxant and an adaptogen. And together with other ingredients like valerian and hops that we use in Nightcap, it's got this synergetic effect where they work together to have a very holistic, relaxing effect, which is quite desirable.
I love all of the thought process behind what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you are ensuring the safety and the efficaciousness of the drinks for us? Research?
Sure. Yeah. So we set out at the very beginning to be a functional drinks business. It wasn't just like something that we decided to sprinkle on top at the end. So what did that mean? That meant that we did a lot of scientific research. We worked with an amazing group of eclectic experts ranging from phytochemists. We have a close relationship with a few different professors in the UK and different universities like UCL and Surrey. We work with amazing bartenders, and we try and get people out of their comfort zone to challenge each other on trying to create the best, most efficacious products, but also in terms of flavor and function, and the tug of war that sometimes needs to happen, because sometimes you want to work with ingredients that might have great functionality, but don't want to play ball when it comes to going into solution or tasting nice. We need to be able to create a product that tastes delicious, is complex, but also has the effects. So a lot of research. Social was the first product that we made. We were researching and experimenting for over 12 months before we put any liquid in a bottle. What we did, the way that we approached it, is we did a lot of research on how alcohol, ethanol, affects the human nervous system and how it fires some of our pleasure receptors. So those are serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. These are the signals inside our brains that fire when we are craving something or when we're given a reward. And that's what alcohol is always interacting with. So we tried to look at the positive effects of alcohol and then look to the plant kingdom and look at plants that had compounds and research that had been done in the scientific community that showed us that they could have a similar effect. So that's how we began. We then created a wide range of ingredients that we wanted to test and play with. And through a lot of trial and error, a lot of tasting, a lot of blending, a lot of guinea pigging on ourselves and others.
Mhm.
We landed with a short list of ingredients that we knew we could work with. During that process, we did experiment with some ingredients that we knew we probably couldn't work with. Things like kava, for instance. Kava, an amazing ingredient from Polynesia. It's permitted for use in the US. It's not permitted in the UK. And because we've got a business in both the UK and the US, we have to be, mindful of regulations and compliance. So there's some ingredients that we chose not to use. Further than that, to your question, we work closely with governing bodies, whether that's the FDA or the equivalent in the UK and Europe, to make sure that we're using ingredients that are permitted in the right form, correct labeling, in the right doses to be efficacious. And if I'm completely honest, when you start a business, maybe those aren't all the top priorities, right? You want to create something that is fantastic, that is as effective as possible, that's delicious. And as you grow, you need to tighten up all of the little loose ends. And I think we've managed to start from the right place, but as we scale, as we get bigger, we put more and more effort into making sure that we've got the safest product possible. In terms of stability, we pasteurize our liquid to make sure that we don't have any pathogens in there.
Mhm.
And we use other techniques that are quite common in the beverage world, like making sure that the pH of our liquids is at a place which doesn't allow bad stuff to grow. So, the reason I mention this is you don't need to think about this in the world of alcohol.
Hmm.
In alcohol, ethanol is an incredibly potent,
Mm.
it kills things.
Mhm.
It's sterile. Things don't really grow in alcohol. But on top of that, and this is quite alarming, and I think it will change soon, there's no legal requirement to disclose what's in the alcohol. So whereas the non-alcoholic world that we sit in, you have to list on the back of pack everything that's in the liquid. In the alcohol world, you don't have to do it. There's no regulation. So it's crazy that we drink alcohol blindly, but we check everything on the back of pack of so many other products. So we have tougher regulations to meet, but that I think is good for the consumer.
What I find interesting too about what you've said is starting that research on how alcohol affects us. It's very different, right? It's almost like there's an element that you can't or no, there is an element you can't control about alcohol. Not knocking it. I mean, I like a drink occasionally too. That's not what we're saying. But alcohol does cross the blood-brain barrier and cause this impairment, this lack of control. Hence, it's called the social lubricant, right? But what you're talking about is crafting drinks that can encourage or enable us to feel a certain way and have a little bit more control about how we're feeling. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I would say like enhancing the moment, right? Which is like I like what you were saying there. Yeah, alcohol, what alcohol does, which is really interesting. First of all, it affects everyone differently, which is what you're saying, right? It's not a one size fits all. And there's a very different effect from alcohol from the first drink to the third drink. And so everyone needs to know their own way and it's really fascinating. Different cultures use alcohol in different ways. And so some cultures have a bigger alcohol problem than others, apparently. And that's a whole different subject. So I'll stay away from that. But yeah, I think what we try and do is enhance traditional alcohol consumption moments with active plants and functional plants and active compounds to enhance the moment without becoming intoxicated, right?
Mhm.
Because I think that's the key. What you're saying is people don't want to lose control.
Well, some do.
Yeah, some do. And there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place to really let go. And But more often than not, you just want to kind of move from here to here. Just a small shift in your mood state, in your physical state, in your mental state is what we really crave, you know? Like I think, and I think alcohol can do that, but it's not always the most accurate tool. It can be a very blunt instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the big things that we stand for, that I feel very strongly about, is, hey, we're living in, this is, 2025. Why do we still only have this big blunt instrument to bang ourselves over the head when in so many other industries, walks of life, technology, like there's been a lot of development? And I do think that we live in a time where we should have different options as social lubricants, so things that you can just use to tune in, to tweak. And I'm excited by what's happening in like the cannabis space, because it's starting to creep in to steal from the alcohol consumption moment. Not that cannabis is for everyone and cannabis drinks and so on, but it's just a great example of there's new innovation creeping into a very, very traditional space that has been dominated for a long time just by alcohol.
So because this is more subtle, say, do you think you have to be a little bit more, I don't know if this question makes sense, but it's going to be easier to feel the effects of alcohol versus does it take a little bit more awareness or intentionality?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm making up words. But being present in order to really feel the effects of the non-alcoholic drinks, functional drinks.
Of our drinks, yeah. It's you're absolutely right. I think big learnings for us over the years, you don't want to overpromise. You need to manage people's expectations, right?
Yeah.
So when we first launched, and don't get me wrong, I will stand behind the efficacy of all of our drinks, and they definitely have effects. But if someone is coming in thinking it's going to be the same as drinking half a bottle of whiskey, or, if we talk to them and survey them and we're like, what do you normally drink? It's like 10 pints of beer is what I normally drink. Yeah, this isn't really going to touch the sides, right? So you're bang on. But I think also what you said is true. People that are a bit more conscious of what they eat, of what they feel like, of what makes them feel good, people that are exploring different diets, how exercise can be a useful part of their lifestyle, which is a large section of society now, right? It's not niche for people to care about health and well-being, food, fitness, exploring vegan diets, exploring alternatives, ways to feel good. Those people will definitely be more receptive to the effects of our drinks, for sure.
I appreciate that it's yet another tool. We talk about mindfulness, that's a buzzword, and we talk about setting intentions and being present, and specifically meditation kind of gets a bad rap. But I don't think we necessarily need to be on a mountaintop, away from everyone, meditating and by ourselves and all that. I think there are all these magical moments and opportunities that we can take, like even sitting with one of your drinks and really being there and really paying attention to how we feel. So just an observation. And
No, but I think you're right. Like just breathing, right? Just the power of the breath. Mm-hmm. Just one breath, even, I've got 2 young kids, right? 7 and 10 years old, and it's tough. It's tough. And I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to teach myself. Just earlier today, just take that breath. Just the one breath changes everything. So yeah, you're right. Just take a moment, slow down and tune in. It's the difference between everything.
Yeah, really experiencing what you're drinking, really experiencing what you're eating. It's very easy to sit in front of a screen and, mindlessly drink or eat something. And then you turn around and it's like, oh, it's gone. And I don't remember what happened. So I do like that there's an additional layer to this drinking experience, a functional drink where you really are invited to pay a little bit more attention and to slow down without having to force it, without having to go, now I have to go to a room, sit on a pillow, put a timer on, so these are additional opportunities I think that we can take advantage of.
Sure.
What challenges have you faced in educating consumers about these benefits? We've started to talk about it a little bit, mental health benefits of functional drinks.
So there's been many challenges, and yes, education, explaining what these things are, how they should be used is a constant challenge. We're always improving. Messaging, language, branding all comes into play. I don't think it's been that hard to, get people excited about function. Here's something that's interesting. I think the US and the US consumer is way more used to being exposed to functional ingredients and their health benefits than a lot of European or UK consumers. But what's interesting is that the real innovation explosion of non-alcoholic spirits did come from the UK. So that was kind of the epicenter of this trend, of this category. It came from the UK. And then it made its way to the US. But the functional trend of plethora of functional ingredients and brands definitely is the most mature in the US. So we're in this interesting place where we're kind of bringing two big trends together. And Three Spirit is really well placed to tap into these different consumer groups who are looking for, unintentionally looking for the same thing, which is a great alternative to alcohol through function. Whereas function has normally been fed to us or presented to us for health. It's about health, 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 whether it's gut health, whether it's healthy bones, whether it's, something that's going to, keep you awake. Or what I think is interesting about this space that we're trying to play in, it's about pleasure, which is so important and connected to mental well-being. And again, another of the pillars of what we do and what we stand for is celebrating the importance of socializing, of good company, of a conversation, of speaking to a stranger, of going to a bar or a pub or a restaurant and getting out. And alcohol has been the reason to do that often. And I think that the getting together is a really positive thing. Over-reliance on alcohol is not necessarily a positive thing. So that's what I think is really exciting about this new space, which is connected to mental well-being rather than physical health, even though, of course, reducing your alcohol consumption is going to be beneficial for your physical health. I think what's more interesting is pleasure being a cornerstone of all-round well-being and trying to bring that to the masses.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from consumers about the success of Three Spirit?
So we have like a great, wonderful, loyal tribe of hardcore fans that have been with us for a long time, because we began life, like a lot of brands, as a direct-to-consumer business where people would find us online. They'd learn about us digitally. They'd come to our website. They'd maybe, after a bit of research and looking at some reviews, they'd be like, okay, I'll try this, even though I had no idea what this is going to be like, because we're so unusual, right? Because we don't advertise as, oh, we're just going to be a non-alcoholic tequila or a non-alc whiskey. There's a bit of a leap of faith, a jump into the unknown when you come into the world of Three Spirit. But the beautiful thing is, generally speaking, once people come in, they stay with us. It becomes a new habit. And so a lot of people will just celebrate that this becomes a new ritual for them that helps them avoid alcohol in the middle of the week, maybe, or helps them avoid that last alcoholic drink of the night. Or maybe they've been sober for a decade, but they've been missing something that feels like a treat, something that they can indulge in. And look, we're all human. We all need relief. Life is not always rosy. And every day there's going to be a moment where you're kind of like, oh God, I just could really use something to take the edge off. And that could come in all different shapes and sizes. It might be running 10K. It might be having a hot bath. It might be having an early night, or it might be having a drink, right? And reaching for a drink. And so I think our customers really celebrate the ability to have something special in a glass that helps them achieve the mood state that they're looking for in that moment.
So it's also the experience of the thing, not necessarily the thing itself all of the time.
It's the ritual of looking forward to something, pouring something, blending something, making something, creating a cocktail, creating a mixed drink, going into the garden and picking a garnish and putting it in the top. These are just lovely, nourishing acts that add to the experience of the drink, for sure.
Okay, we're getting close to time before our Q&A. Before I ask you my last question, is there anything we may have left out of the conversation you want to add?
No, I mean, we could talk forever. That's the problem, right? But I could talk deep on each of our core elixirs and the ingredients. I mean, I can just talk to that a little bit more, maybe, which is...
Oh, we can as we start the tasting.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that in the tasting. Fine. I forgot everyone will be tasting. Brilliant. No, I think that, we're at an interesting place with our journey where maybe we were quite early into this world. And now it's super exciting because I think there's so much understanding and interest in the world of adaptogens, nootropics, in the world of alcohol-free, alcohol alternatives. There is a big shift in consumer behavior. There's a lot of change going on right now in the world, as we all know. But I think organically there is this shift away from blindly drinking alcohol. And you said something a bit earlier of being mindful of what we're consuming, and we eat in front of the screen. But I think we also have been guilty for many, many decades of just blindly consuming alcohol.
Sure.
Because that's just what you do, And now it's really interesting where it's like, oh, hang on, what do I actually want in this moment? Maybe it's not alcohol. So I think it's just really exciting. And we're starting to get more interest and success in bigger regional retailers. So we're in Fresh Time, and that just gives us excitement and confidence that the wave is building and the future looks bright.
All right. So before we dive into tasting and our Q&A, what is your personal definition of what it means to be healthy?
Happy. If you can be happy, that's going along. That's a lot of the way. I think being comfortable in your own skin, finding pleasure from small things, always being able to fall back on, small things to give you pleasure, whether that's just looking out the window or the sunshine on your skin or, playing with your kids. It's those little things, for me, are the key to health. Because, I don't know how you could be healthy if you're not happy. They obviously feed into each other. I think that's the key.
Thank you, Dash. That's going to wrap up this part. And now we're going to start diving into the tasting. Let's begin with, can you start talking about Livener as
yes.
Begin to taste that one, please?
Okay, so I'm assuming everyone's got a little cup in front of them just with Livener in it, is it? It's not mixed. So it's going to be a little spicy, everyone. I would describe Livener as a fruit spirit. Okay, so you're going to get lots of fruit on the nose, red berries. Careful, it's not social. Social also looks a bit deeper red. Livener is the brighter one. And you're going to have big notes of watermelon, pomegranate, hibiscus, cayenne pepper. So it's a little spicy, going to give you a little kick.
This is good.
And it's very fruity. It's got some interesting green herbal notes in it as well. It's a fun liquid. I would describe it as something that you could use instead of a light white spirit. So in place of a gin or a vodka or a tequila, you could mix your favorite kind of cocktail or mixed drink. So like something like mix it with soda, mix it with tonic, blends really nicely with ginger ale. But it's naturally caffeinated from guayusa. So guayusa is an amazing plant from Ecuador. It's grown in the rainforest. It's part of the holly family, the ilex family, but it is closely related to yerba mate, which is way more common and maybe more known. But guayusa is the fuel, one of the main kind of ingredients fueling the energizing, stimulating properties of Livener. The cayenne pepper, which you can taste, is also a very effective functional ingredient that raises your metabolism, wakes up the palate, wakes up the mind. Might give you a little sweat after if you drink too much. Ginseng in there is also an amazing, very like a heavyweight of the functional adaptogenic world. Used a lot in traditional Chinese medicine and in India as well. And then, yeah, you've just got lovely kind of fruity, sour notes. We acidify it with apple cider vinegar to cut through some of the natural sweetness. And it's the most popular drink that we have with cocktail barmen. So it's the most popular of our products to getting on menu in a lot of the best kind of cocktail bars.
Fantastic. Okay, now we're going to move to social.
Social is the funky one, okay? It's the one that is maybe the most polarizing because it's quite odd. It's very strange. It's the first product that we made. It's got a lot of very potent medicinal plants in it. Things like lion's mane mushroom, cacao, Damiana. So Damiana is this amazing herb from Mexico, which people use for lucid dreaming and improving mood. It's also known as an aphrodisiac. So the blend in social is designed to help you, socialize, but also in intimacy. It's got strong flavors, though. It's a bit more like an Amaro or a vermouth. Mm-hmm. It's quite bitter. There's green tea in it. There's lots of bitter astringency from the green tea, but it's sweetened with molasses, blackstrap molasses, which is gorgeous and has loads of licorice flavor and is basically a byproduct from making cane sugar. So it comes from sugar cane. And what else can I tell you about it? It's delicious mixed with ginger ale. And it makes a mean espresso martini if you want to shake it with coffee. Really nice combination. And it's, makes you feel a bit floaty and flirty. That's how I would describe it.
All right. Now we're going to do Nightcap.
So Nightcap is super smooth, goes down easy, but it's got this nice long finish. Okay. So Nightcap is all about chill. It's about relaxation. But as you're hopefully now learning and experiencing, all of our liquids have some impact, right? You feel them on the palate, you feel them go down. What's happening in Nightcap is you're getting a sensation on the palate from black pepper, Szechuan pepper, and ginger.
Yes.
And I love it because it's not often that you're using pepper and Szechuan in drinks. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of our secret weapon in Nightcap because it gives you this combination of warmth from the ginger, cooling from the Szechuan pepper, and you feel this very satisfying length of the drink, which is what alcohol does so well. It's very hard to recreate the feeling of sipping a neat spirit. And I think Nightcap, more often than the others, wants to be enjoyed neat, just on the rocks. And it's got valerian, lemon balm, hops, ashwagandha, ingredients that are all there to help relax and prepare you for a really good night's sleep.
You need to come visit us in Michigan and come to one of those tasting bars and lead us through this sensory experience. I loved your descriptions. Thank you. I've got so many good questions here from our wonderful audience. Okay, the first question from Becky. We know that we can overindulge in alcohol. Can you ever overindulge in non-alcoholic drinks? What's the impact on the body of taking in too much?
Good question. So look, everything in moderation. I think getting straight to the point there, we pride ourselves on making substantial drinks. So it's not like there's just some flavorings in there. So one of the main reasons to go slow, I would say, is there's natural sugars in here. Right, so there's in social, you've got agave. In Nightcap, you've got maple, and you don't want to drink a whole bottle because that's quite a high sugar level. But in terms of the actives and the active compounds, I'd say in Livener, because it's naturally caffeinated, you wouldn't want to be overly caffeinated. And I think in social, there's a lot of cacao, which if I consume too much high grade, 100% pure cacao, it gives me a headache. So it's like anything that has an effect, like alcohol. You take it up to a certain point and it generally is giving you pleasure, and you take it a bit too far and there can be some negative side effects. I think with our products, and I can't speak for the whole non-alc universe of other products, but you wouldn't want to drink too much because it might be dehydrating. You might be consuming a bit too much sugar than is recommended, and you might be consuming too much stimulants that might give you a headache. But because our drinks are very different from one another, you got to watch out for different things with each one. But we've designed everything to kind of think about, most people are going to drink between 1 and 3 drinks in a sitting.
Are the drinks safe for kids?
We recommend against, we position them as being adult drinks, not suitable for children. Legally, Livener, with its high natural caffeine content, is the only one that we legally have to stipulate that it's not recommended for children. But out of our own responsibility and the use of potent natural plants, we recommend these are not for children.
When you pasteurize, don't you lose all the good stuff you're trying to cultivate in your drinks?
Good question. I think in an ideal world, you would have it raw, but no. So I would argue that a lot of our ingredients are, that really what we do is it's all about extraction processes and how we extract the flavor and function from specific raw material. Some of the best ways to make those extractions use heat. So there has been a heat step already implemented in capturing those goodies from the plant. We're not trying to be a raw product. So my previous hat in the coconut water world is a good example of raw coconut water is the best, right? You don't want pasteurized coconut water. Coconut water denatures and it changes how it tastes a lot with heat treatment. With our products, I find that they actually gel together and fuse together really nicely with the pasteurization process. I prefer how our products taste after they're pasteurized. And I'm not just saying that, it's the truth. And the active compounds that we're interested in survive the heat treatment. So I would say if I was making something at home, absolutely. If I was going to consume it within a few days and be in control of how it's going to be stored, I wouldn't be pasteurizing maybe. But given that we're trying to produce and move product all over the world or all over the country, it's more important for us to have a safe, stable liquid that won't spoil than to have a raw liquid.
Here's another great 2 questions from Elliot. What difficulties have you had with regards to overhead costs and setting price points for your products, if any? Is it costly to ethically source these herbs?
Great question. Yeah, it is. It's one of the biggest questions that we get is, why does this cost the same as alcohol? Our product's not cheap, but we do care a lot about quality, and the raw materials, the herbs that we source, are not cheap. And being a B Corp, again, we care about supply chain and sourcing in the right way rather than just trying to get the cheapest product on the market. So price is a barrier to a lot of people for trying a product like ours. But because our product's so unique, I think that once people try it, they realize, oh, this is something special. This is something that is worth the money. I wish it was more affordable, but it comes back to that feeling of an indulgence and something that you would have occasionally, not all the time. And I think people understand that once they learn about the ingredients and how we make the products.
So like a bottle of alcohol, which is not necessarily going to be, if you want something, well, there's controversy about this, but if you do pay more money for something that's a little bit, has more quality, it's not like you're going to go and sit and slam it in one sitting, right? Same idea is what I'm hearing. You're going to have
it's something to savor. Yeah. And like, I think how you were talking earlier, Nadine, about just sitting with something and having a moment and appreciating what's gone into making this. We talk a lot about it's about what goes inside the bottle. It's not about what's been removed, which again, I think is a lot of the how a lot of non-alcoholic products are presented. Hey, this is alcohol, tequila with the alcohol removed. This is a Sauvignon Blanc with the alcohol removed. We talk about all of this care and quality that we've put inside the bottle through these ingredients, through these herbs.
Another question. Really excited to listen to you. I gave up my whiskey, but I love the health benefits of herbals. Do you find the health benefits of these drinks important?
Absolutely. Like I said at the beginning of the talk, I need a reason to believe, a reason to consume. And for me, knowing that these ingredients, these blends, have a designed effect makes them interesting to me. Nightcap, as a whiskey drinker, as a former whiskey drinker, Nightcap does that job really well, because it hits that spot of the last drink of the evening, something that feels like it's been aged in oak, something that you can drink slowly, sip and savor. I think that's the key, something that slows you down. Soft drinks, by definition, are generally something that you glug, they're about refreshment. It's about refreshment, rehydration, bubbles, attractive to a wide audience, so children, not that complex. What we do is about adult drinks. What does that mean? I want people, when they try these drinks for the first time, not to know what they really feel about them, to have like a double take. It's like, oh, do I like it? I don't know. Is it alcoholic? I don't know. And it's something that should grow on you, because that's how I think our relationship with alcohol generally goes. It's an acquired taste. And like a lot of good things, like coffee, there's a lot of strong flavors that you probably won't like at first in your adolescent years. And then over time, you grow to really appreciate bitter things, sour things, alcoholic things. And that's how we approach developing Three Spirit.
Spoken like a true foodie. I appreciated that. Okay. Um, Lindsay asks, do you sell in bars and pubs? If not, do you ever see it going in that direction?
We definitely do, Lindsay. That's how we started out, really. So we started out as a direct-to-consumer business selling online, but also seeding our product into some of the best bars, hotels, restaurants, firstly in London and around the UK, then in New York. And now we continue to go where we are desired, which is gladly happening in more and more places. But we get a lot of inbound interest because we're quite unique, because we're quite different. And because we built this brand and this range with expert bartenders, we immediately had some of that credibility to be able to be poured in some of the best bars. Because what's interesting is in the bartending community, non-alc used to be, still is a little bit, but it used to be very divisive. So when non-alcoholic spirits first came around, it was a very interesting kind of debate. There was a lot of bartenders that were like, did not have much love for these things coming into their space. Mm-hmm. A, because, hey, this is a place where we serve alcohol. And B, I could make something better myself. So it was interesting the way that we wanted to create liquids and our brand. It was important for us that we could be taken seriously by bartenders that we knew would be hard to win over. And in order to do that, we wanted to do it, properly. That's where the alchemy comes in, actually going beyond in terms of creating a complex, interesting liquid, not just creating the easiest thing.
What is your favorite herb or adaptogen?
Oh, it's an impossible question, but I love lion's mane mushroom. It's not a herb, it's a mushroom, but it's something that's fascinating. I love growing it. I love educating people about it. If I do a masterclass and if I come and see you guys next time, I'd probably bring a whole lion's mane because they look so incredible. They look like an animal, like you can stroke like a strange cat or something. And we're about to publish a scientific peer-reviewed paper on the functional cognitive effects of lion's mane mushroom. So I've put a lot of time and effort into studying its benefits. But you know what? Something that gives me pure joy often, and it's not an ingredient that we use, is rosemary, because I see it all over the place and I can't see a rosemary bush without pinching its leaves and having a smell, because it instantly makes me happy. And that's like the power of plants. I'm not just talking about, oh, you consume it for the benefits. It's like a rose, right? Someone told me once, a rose is the most powerful neurotoxin in the world. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, because humans cannot resist smelling it. The smell, the perfume of a rose intoxicates the brain so much that you just have to stick your nose in there. Same with rosemary, or, it just gives me that hit. So I love it.
You've just made Elaine very, very happy. So last question, Dash. I say this to a lot of guests, but you're so much fun. And I really would love to continue talking to you, but we've got time. We've got to keep.
You got other stuff to do. Yeah.
Last question then would be, where is your next rabbit hole?
I love cacao. I love chocolate. I have, through this amazing adventure of Three Spirit, I've been exposed to so many ingredients and plants, and I loved learning about them. I'd say there's two potential rabbit holes that have shown their face in front of me. One is cacao. I was lucky enough to visit a cacao plantation not long ago, first time I'd ever been. Amazing. There's just something about the plant and the effects and the romance and it looks like an alien plant and fruit. So I'd love to learn more about cacao, cultivation and processing of the fruit to make chocolate. The other is winemaking, because aside line that we do is called Blurred Vines. So you guys should check out on our website. We also have a wine alternatives called Blurred Vines, which we ferment and mix cold brewed teas and pressed fruit. And that connection back to what my dad used to do, my grandpa, my great grandpa, there is something, I think I get most pleasure from just the cultivation of a plant and turning it into something else. So that might be something for the future.
Legacy. I really respect the homage that you're paying to your roots and modernizing that. So, Dash, you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, everyone. It's been enjoyable.
Wise women, move from last place to first place in your life. Stop using your body as a battlefield. Let's raise health together with a customized health plan just for you. Contact me at npkhealthintegration.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.